Are you brand new to copywriting? Here's how to find clients fast. Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance medical copywriter and copywriting mentor, and I have helped over 5,000 people break into copywriting. So I know a lot about getting a freelance copywriting business up and running very, very quickly. Not only through my own personal experience, we're going on 10 years now, but also through working with other personalities. And that's important to understand because something that works for me may not work for somebody else, right? Maybe somebody's more of an extrovert or more of an introvert or has a job that they can't create a LinkedIn profile because they don't want anyone to know that they're starting this side hustle. So there's so many different things that go into building a freelance copywriting business, but it's important to remember that you got to find what works for you. So after working with so many freelance copywriters, I have learned so much through their journeys, through working with different personalities, and through trials and testing things and seeing what works and what doesn't work, and especially how things work with different personalities. So with all of that in mind, I want to give you some of my best tips and tricks for finding clients fast, whether you're starting out at building your freelance copywriting business or whether you need to ramp up client work, because sometimes that happens. Maybe things will be running smoothly for a year. You'll lose a few clients. It happens, no big deal. And then you're back in the client acquisition game. That is part of the process. But once your client acquisition game is strong, those moments are nearly as scary. I mean, I've had periods of time where I've had, a $20,000 plus retainer and we've decided to part ways for various reasons. And so now I have a $20K gap in my monthly income. So I really know what it's like to have to turn back to client acquisition. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the best ways to find clients fast. The first thing is don't wait for them to come to you. And what I mean by that is inbound strategies. This may be SEO on your website or posting on social media or, creating a resume. Those things take more time. When you need clients fast, you have to do outreach. So get comfortable with reaching out and making pitches. Even if you have a ton of years of experience as a copywriter and you need new clients, you're going to also have to do outreach. And it's really okay. I've noticed over the years that a lot of people sometimes feel uncomfortable with this because they think that it's needy or attention grabbing, and there's some sort of resistance with chasing, right? I've seen people talk about that and how they prefer to kind of attract. And that's great. I'm like super into manifesting. I'm super into the laws of attraction as well. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to find clients fast, the best thing to do is outreach. And it's worth even examining the mindsets and the beliefs you have around that. Like, why would you think that that's necessarily a bad thing? When I have people outreach to me and they have a product or service that I really need, I'm so freaking grateful that they did it. So keep that in mind and push back against the resistance to do some sort of cold outreach. The next thing I would recommend is to go beyond places like Fiverr and Upwork. They're not my favorite. Can you find good gigs there when you're experienced? Yes. Is it a good place for new copywriters to start? No. It is 100% a race to the bottom. So explore other client acquisition outreach techniques like cold emailing, LinkedIn networking, DMing people, messaging people, building a reputation for yourself in niche Facebook groups, and even look within your current client base, asking if they have recommendations, if they know people who are looking for copywriters. That's why I love setting up a referral program and letting all my clients know that if they recommend somebody to me and they become a paying client, I pay them $100. I've gotten lots and lots of wonderful clients that way. Another thing that you might want to consider is niching down to something more specific or even getting more specific about the right fitting clients. Now, if you're trying to find clients fast, this can seem really scary. It's actually counterintuitive to think that niching down will, make it easier to find clients, because a lot of times people have the fear, if I niche down or I have more specific parameters around who I'm willing to work with, then I will be foregoing opportunity. But I cannot emphasize this enough. Anytime I have worked with a copywriter one-on-one and encouraged them to do this, what has happened is more opportunities have arisen. And this is for a few reasons. First and foremost, you're making sure you're spending your energy and time on top quality, perfect fitting clients. Second of all, people tend to want to work with specialists. They prefer to work with somebody who knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. Thirdly, it also saves you time because you are an expert in something that is very specific to them, and that can save you time in research and writing. And it's just, quite frankly, super helpful. Can you be a generalist and make it work? For sure. There's lots of examples of people doing that. But I continue to see how people really, really benefit from niching down, getting more specific, not only in their niche, not only in the subject that they're writing about, but also in the type of person that they want to work with. My next tip for you is to start asking yourself, where does your ideal client hang out? And there are a lot of digital spaces online where you can find them in certain communities, groups, masterminds, things like that. But also look to conferences, look to networking events, look to things that they are attending. One of my favorite ways to find new clients was to see where they were hanging out in person. Usually conferences, I would look at who the keynote speakers were. I would look at what they were doing, what other conferences they were going to, and then also check out who was attending, who was having booths, things like that. That's a really great way to not only expand who you're looking for, but also in your outreach to know what it is they're interested in. And also it's really great for like a cold outreach. Like, hey, I recently saw that you attended this conference, blah, 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 blah. And then starting the conversation from a mutual shared interest. My next piece of advice for you is to ditch the high effort, low reward techniques. That is typically doing things in person. You're going to be able to achieve so much more if you stick to the online space. Sure, it feels really good to go to a local business, to walk into somebody's shop, if you're that kind of person. Some people are like, wait, that does not feel good. I'm super scared of that. I used to be one of those people too. But if that feels good to you, I get it. But if you're trying to find clients fast, do things that are scalable, right? Messaging many different people, obviously personalizing your messages to match them or meet them where they're at, but keeping in mind that you're trying to do something that's a little bit more scalable, and that is going to not probably be something that's in person. My next tip for you is to remember that it's a numbers game, and that can feel daunting or that can feel encouraging. If you knew you needed 49 no's to get a yes, what would you do? You would start chasing those no's. So do it, get to work, and put your head down. Don't wait for a reply, keep moving forward. The thing is you're also building invisible momentum when you're doing client acquisition, meaning you're not necessarily going to see the rewards of it right away. Somebody's going to respond to you 3 months later when they're finally ready to have the conversation. So just keep going. Start building that pipeline and adding to it consistently. My next piece of advice for you is to not worry about getting clients through social media content. However, using social media for DMs and outreach can be a really beneficial way to get clients fast. Does this mean you can't use social media content to bring in clients? No. I'm specifically talking about when you need a client urgently or quickly, or you're trying to build that client base fast. So my next piece of advice for you is super important, and newbie copywriters forget this all the time. Look for people whose problems you can solve or things that you can help them with, right, in growing their business. Not necessarily for people who are looking for you. Most of my clients, when I was first starting out, had no idea what a copywriter was and was not looking for one actively. And many of those people went on to become clients for like 5, 6, 7 years. So don't just look for people who are hunting for what you have to offer. Make sure you're putting yourself in front of people that you know you can help. Explain the value of what you do, and pitch your services. Like I said before, I've had so many people pitch services to me that I was actually unaware of it even existed, and I was so grateful for it. With all of this, it's important to keep in mind that you should definitely be personalizing your messages. When you're first starting out, sometimes you aren't sure how to quite personalize your messages because you're not confident in your services, you don't know exactly what you want to offer, and that is okay. In those situations, you might have a little bit less personalized messages, and so you're going to want to increase the volume. But pretty quickly, once you know what you offer, once you know the value of it, and you really understand who you want to serve, your messages volume should go down and the personalization should go up. And finally, this feels obvious, but I can't tell you how many times I've had to help people through this. Pitch to people who look like they can afford your services. And what I mean by look like they can afford your services, it looks like they're actually already value marketing. They're already trying. They already have a website. They already have an email list. They're running ads. They're making an attempt. It's so important to go after those clients because you're going to have to do a lot less work to convince them of the value of what it is you bring to the table. I get a lot of students who come through my program who are worried about pitching to people because they are, one, dealing with imposter syndrome. They don't think that they have anything to offer or any reason to help them because they're already got it under control. And I always remind them that you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Can't tell you the number of times I was like, this person's totally got their shit together. But when I reach out to them, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Our copywriter just left. I've been writing the copy myself or whatever. So one, don't assume that you know what's going on behind the scenes just because they have a nice online facade. The other thing is people tend to think that if they are going after bigger clients, that they're somehow not helping the little guys. Listen, just like people, businesses go on journeys too. They have a beginning of their journey and then they have where they currently are. And at the very beginning of their journey, they might not be ready for a copywriter. And that is okay. It's so important to remember that you want to meet your clients at where they're at, honestly, and offer value if you can help them. So if they don't have a website, that is not a good sign. Do not work with those clients because they're not ready for you yet. And I get it. You want to help them, but help them when they're ready, truly. Because if you have to drag them along, it's going to be miserable for you. And quite frankly, they might not be ready for whatever it is you're offering. So I want to wrap up by saying this because I think people forget this. Even as a copywriter with 10 years experience, when I need new clients, I also have to dig into client acquisition. Yes, of course, I have more of a reputation and that helps. But everything I'm encouraging you to do, I have done myself over and over and over and over again. And the better you can get at it, the more confident you will be in moving through your life as a freelance copywriter. So I hope this helps. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if it did. That's how I know you'd like to see more videos like this. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.